So, Gunjan, you are a chef. You are an author, a consultant, and the vice president of India Slow Food. You said you're very passionate about that healthy food and sustainability. Can you tell us a bit more about what that means for you? So, and you probably need a microphone now.
So it is self-explanatory when I say sustainability. We are working on sustainability. And probably that's the need of the hour, that everyone should be conscious and should be aware what we are eating and how it is sourced, firstly, and what was the process. Because the strange ways of nature are not really working with us. Sometimes they go against us. And that is where we come in, and we all are responsible that we should take care and see that the nature is not spoiled, and we are working along with the nature. And that is the fundamental principle of what is sustainability. So here, when you say I've come here and you say I'm working for sustainability, the whole idea is it's kind of an education that the consumer must have. What is sustainability?
Okay, thank you for that. Where is the main challenge for you?
Very honestly, with due respect to everyone sitting here and all the stall holders, people talk about the word organic. It's a very cliche word. But how organic the product is that is what we need to understand and we need to watch. I request sometimes, that whenever you're sourcing any vegetables under the garb of being organic, try and check, try and see what are the resources and how the product has been sourced for you. Of course, it becomes quite an effort for all of us to probably not go. I can't see where you're getting your vegetables or whatever edible other things you're getting, whether they are organic or not organic. But there are means, we can talk about it, if you permit me so, that we can control this, and it's very, very important right now, according to me.
Thank you very much. Jishnu, you're working in Bellona hospitality services. You basically are just working with Gunjan in a way, because you're also looking into restaurants. And where do you see, but you're a step behind, because you're basically helping restaurants to be sustainable in a way. What do you see as the main challenge of sustainability, and how do you advise your clients?
See, basically, we are into the fine dine restaurant division, and food delivery is a very small component of our business, where it is 10 to 15% max. QSR and all the smaller formats does much more packaging. So in our industry, at least in the sector that I am operating, we have transitioned from plastic to paper and bagasse, which is more eco-friendly. But when I speak to anybody who is knowledgeable in this whole eco-friendly sector, they always challenge, saying that you may think paper is eco-friendly, but if it is layered with plastic to handle food, it is not, because it has a micron film which cannot be recycled. So my think, and whatever I have understood in the eco-friendly packaging, is that we have to coexist plastic as well as paper, and solutions that Balrampur Chini is bringing in, with PLA being now manufactured in India, which was imported. I think it will become better. But also post-COVID, there is a change in fine dine packaging and delivery, where we are over-packaging. We are trying to make good food which was just delivered previously, has now become, it has to look much more pretty when the person is opening. This social media of unboxing a thing has become a trend. So it is now playing in every operator's mind of over-packaging. It's just a chicken biryani, but what can I do so much to it that it becomes brilliant? There is a wow factor. Not understanding the amount of damage you will do to the environment, or how much you are producing, and putting it in the waste, because at homes, there is recycling happening, but what is actually happening, it is like the airport dustbins. If you have seen, there is recyclable written over there. You have another paper and wet waste written, but when you open it or see it through, everything is together. So we may send from our house bottles and plastics and paper separately, but what is actually happening back in the landfill is the big problem. And when we do not see these kind of landfills with our own eyes, and we just see it on a laptop and a screen, we don't see the impact of it. One has to understand the impact on the environment. So, and second, when I was spending a little time with you earlier in the session, I myself was shocked, when Stephen asked me, do you know what will happen if South Pole ice melts? How much will the ocean rise by? And I said, okay, 3 feet, 6 feet, 10 feet. And I was surprised when he said it was 60 meters, not in feet, 60 meters, which means Himachal and Kashmir would be the hot selling properties in 50 years down the line, because people can live there and rest of the cities will be down in water. Yeah, so my problem in F&B right now and this whole consumer thing is we are over packaging, which is good, bad, but sometimes I think it is required, but consumer has to say it is all waste. And if they are not ready to pay that kind of price, then it will get sustainable. And when manufacturers bring products to the F&B line, F&B players, we will be able to adapt quickly. Because in the fine dine, there is a little bit of margin. We are not so stressed on can we charge 5 rupee extra or not. That can be passed on to the customer easily. In a QSR, it can be a little difficult, but in a fine dine, it's possible.
Thank you very much. Srideep Kesavan, you actually have, when Jishnu said you have a challenge to educate his own people, you seem to have done this pretty well when I looked at your situation at Heritage Foods, because you seem to have a very clear metrics how you manage, in the end, your sustainability in your company.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you. Yes, if I can just give a short introduction about our company. Many people may not know Heritage Foods. We are a dairy products company. Large part of the products that we sell are in fresh format, whether it is milk, curd, buttermilk, etc. And as all consumers, you would know that this comes in a plastic bag, right? So we use a lot of plastic. So my first point, even before I say that, what education we have done, and I was just speaking with Indranil on this, that I wish we quickly do some innovation to find or invent an economical primary packaging for food, which is equally good in terms of the container properties, in terms of the shelf life that it can provide, and the handling and storage, etc., and which is sustainable on the other hand, right? Now, till such time, we have to live with the plastic containers that we use. At this point in time, large part of plastic that we use is in LDPE format. What we can do at our end is to ensure that the plastic that we put out there is collected and recycled. So circularity is something that we are focusing on at our end. And the way we are doing it is by driving some of the metrics that you spoke about, Stefan. So one of which is actually we are sharply focused on reducing the gram of plastic that we use per liter of our product. The gram per liter metric today stands at around 9 grams for us, and it is something that we are constantly 9 grams of plastic per liter of product. It's something that we are trying to reduce, which is good from the economical or profit point of view, because lesser packaging material improves profitability, and it is good for the planet as well. So this is one metric that we are doing, but we are far from achieving the level of success that you spoke about, which is educating consumers, which I feel even today is our biggest challenge. And if I but to talk about few of the challenges we are facing as an organization. The first and foremost is biggest part of our growth in our business comes from smaller packages. And I believe it must be true for many of the consumer goods company. And the smaller the package gets, the amount of plastic that we use per gram of product goes up. If I can just give a comparison, in a mid-size pack, we use about 8 grams of plastic per liter of product. But in a smaller pack, we end up using double that. Right? So this is a challenge. So the more and more industry or the consumer shifts to smaller packs, whether due to affordability or new consumers getting into a category, we have to tackle this. This is one problem that we have. The second is the point that was raised on over-packaging. A little bit of this I see in, that was a case of Horeca, where people were building up packaging in a fancy fashion to do unboxing and all of that. The same problem exists in consumer foods as well. If you make a film or packaging material which is slightly flimsy in the sense, like whether you reduce grammage or whether you use more recyclable material, it doesn't look premium enough to the consumer, and consumer thinks that the product inside is also not premium. So my team, and they're actually reflecting the reality of the market. My team keeps pushing me for thicker, more plastic per product. That's a dichotomy that we have to live with, because premiumness comes by using more plastic, and how do I get over it? How do I switch and flip this story and say that lesser plastic, more premium? I don't think that we have still achieved that. And the third is reuse or use of recycled material, and I think that we're still a little far away from using recycled material as primary packaging in food industry, or use reusable material in the food industry. So till such time as we have achieved this, I think that we're still far away.
Thank you very much for this. Santosh, Doiphode, you the heads of procurement and supply chain management. You basically said you already achieved a lot on the place of sustainability. Could you tell us a bit what you have done so far and how you want to drive it on in the future?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Santosh Doiphode. I'm from running a brand, Mad Over Donuts. It's a company-operated brand. We are spread it with the 6 states, 150 plus outlets, and plan 300 plus in 3 years. And our goal has been always given delightful experience through our freshly made top donuts, basically. And talking about, the lots of people are sitting, and we understood that how many people are sitting here who is very serious about this subject. But yes, MOD is very, very serious about this subject, and reason that our every MOD donut box, we have a donuts, brownie, eclair, and lots of items also. But our boxes are eco-friendly. It's a biodegradable. It's, every box is having a proper information through a logo, is a sustainable formatting. We have also having a micro antibacterial coating also, where we are giving a guarantee about, the bacteria, virus, it should be removed within 2 hours. So basically, we have a plastic-free policy. We are supporting environmental, basically. We don't want to claim lots of things, but whatever we want, we have to support the environment we are doing. We are reduce the wastages also. Now in a COVID, everyone understands the business is in-store and our delivery concept is a big, so understood there's a disposable quantity is huge, and we are solving these problems through a proper way of operations. Thanks.
Thank you very much for this. One question we had before when we discussed in the panel is how do we pay for everything, for sustainability? Indranil, you come from Marico. You have a degree in chemistry and you're working there for packaging as head of packaging. Marico is one of the leading consumer product companies. What have you done and how do you think about payment of sustainability in the end, in the cost implications which we have from sustainable packaging?
as a Marico, I don't know how many of you know Marico, because whenever I speak about Marico, people ask me, "Oh, Mari biscuit banane wala hai kya?" So, no, it's not the Mari biscuit banane wala. So, basically, we are into big brands like Saffola and Parachute is our brands, and I actually look after the development in that organization. So, what Stephen is trying to ask me is that there is always a challenge when we try to tackle sustainability with functionality and the cost. So there is, and that is where, we try to strike a balance that how we can manage sustainability at the same time, it does not really hurt our pockets much, because end of the day, it is very difficult to ask consumers about the money that you spend on sustainability, because the consumer till date, they are still not so much aware. They need to be more educated that, what we are doing right now, it is for the future, it is for our next generation. But still, I think it's a long way for the Indian customers, though some work has started around it. So, but presently we face a lot of challenges when we try to work on sustainability. One thing I would say that if you really want to work on sustainability, material costs are still prohibitive. It is very expensive. And so whenever we want to work on a material front, we need to see that, how we can, as Shrideep was speaking about, that consumption per kilo of material of plastic, how I can reduce that so that I can strike a balance. So whatever benefit that I get by removing the extra plastic, can I build that cost into more, building a solution which can be more functionally right for the type of product. So that is where we work on. Second thing, what challenges we face when we try to even work on these is, today the machines within our factories or with our suppliers or with our vendors, they are meant for running mass scale products and more of plastic like PET, BOPP, and predominantly they have been using that machine for more than 10, 15 years. And when we say that we need to now try a new material to run in those lines, and at our end as well, we want to run a new laminate or a new structures or a new type of packaging material. So there is a lot of challenges that what we face, because the output of the machines decreases significantly. The material don't run properly, and that is where, again, we need to keep on modulating the material to run on these lines. So that is always a challenge at our end. And functionality is also like today we were just speaking with Stefan and PL as a material. Now PL as a material has been there for quite some time. But how do we really use PLA not only for food application, but even outside food application? How can we really, I was just speaking to him, there was a thought that, how can we use PLA along with paper? Because paper and PLA both are sustainable. And can be easily recyclable. But can they be recycled into a single stream of where the paper pulps are getting manufactured? Can it be put there? And can it help in really increasing the barrier of the paper, or maybe the strength of the paper, which will actually help in eliminating plastic in certain applications? I think there are certain areas on alternative plastics that are being going on sustainability. Along with working on new solutions for the type of product we are into.
Thanks a lot for this. In the beginning, we talked about cost, which you answered. I'd like to ask the last person on the panel, Ashish Modi. He works at CLLO Echo, and you're basically advising brands on how to build in sustainability. So how are you doing that if it costs more?
So thank you guys. Thank you, Stephen. This is Ashish from Cleco, and we are basically helping brands to be more sustainable, to calculate their impact overall, what are the packaging that they are using, how can they optimize the packaging. So we have a range of products which is basically catering to the HoReCa and the QSR segment, where the major single-use plastic products have been used. So there we are providing alternatives to these brands to switch to sustainable products like these paper boards lined with PLA, as Stephen and me were discussing on this. And parallelly, we are introducing a range of retail products, because a lot of single-use products are now started being used in the retail segment also, like, you know, the house parties and all those segments. So where corporates really have a challenge or face a challenge in pricing, but when a consumer can by choice go in the market and buy a product which is more sustainable, at the same time it is more healthier. So we generally consume everything, like even water we store at our house in glass bottles. We've stopped using plastic. But at the same time, when we drink tea, we are having a hot beverage from a plastic lined cups. So ideally, there are health issues which are causing because of microplastic. So we help brands across these to become more healthier and more sustainable. At the same time, we are having a lot of products which are catering to these corporates, like we are developing these bamboo fiber tissues, which are an alternative to the regular tree-based tissues. So the bamboo is basically a grass. So it is not cut from the root. So it grows very fast. So the products made out of bamboo fiber as an alternative to plastics and the trees can also help the carbon impact from the corporate perspective. So basically the retail range for households plus the corporates plus we are serving Horeca. So we are trying our best to cater to these three segments in reducing their impact. Basically sustainability for me is an evolution. It cannot be one day I go and start everything sustainable, because there are many challenges involved. So it is a process that what I was impacting yesterday is my tomorrow's impact lesser than what I was. So that can be a matrix which we can use to see that how sustainable we are getting day by day.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
this,
Stephen.
Ashish. So we have about 5 minutes left. Are there some questions from the audience? Yes, please. Can we bring a mic up there?
Hi, I am from the packaging side, right? So probably would invite or like to have some thoughts, Sridhar sir, you and from Marico. Anyway, it's always a cat and mouse game, how to pass on the kind of the price or whether it is eco-friendly, blah, 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 keeping that aside. If we try and look at, there are two specific things which I would invite your thoughts on. So for example, if we just take a simple labeling, say paper labeling, if we try to switch on to products or labels made out of starch, corn basically, the ingredient is the corn, the price rises. That's number one. But in that, number two would be, we are not very sure if we are doing this for perishable items, or the food items, right? So how compatible or it damages, the product or the quality of the particular product would always be kind of a challenge, right? And the third in general was, say for example, we are talking about food. The plastics are supposed to be meant, for convenience, as someone was mentioning here. In fact, they outlive us, right? So say for example, in fine dine industry, correct? Just a thought, it would have its own pros and cons. Why can't we like in South, how do we use your banana leaves, right? Leaves, right? And then how do we use in the North called the pattals, right? So has the industry given it a thought at some point in time? Just a thought, not a question, but you can share your views.
Thank you for your question. You would like to answer on cost and starch and
Maybe I'll just try to attempt. As I said, there are certain alternatives for food packaging which the industry try to venture into, or they try to look forward for, and these are based on the type of food items you are into. Example, like if I will say that you might have heard about pulp trays or the pulp packaging, which is now really picking up, right? Now that is completely made out of paper. Now, if you even look at the leaf, which is presently being used for forming the trays and everything, even that has also been replaced by the predominantly thermocol trays or the other trays. So I think that's another area people are into. Now coming to the labels, now we don't actually, plastic is not bad. Let me just say you that. Plastic is very versatile and it is quite adaptable So that is the reason we don't really eliminate plastic, but we see that what type of material goes with what. Example, I'll give you a classic example that I may use a paper label if I'm using a, say, paper pulp board, or maybe paper pulp trays, or maybe a cup, or maybe something for packing my product. Because paper, it will go into a single stream of recycling and it will get recycled. Similarly, I have a PET bottle, I use a PET label onto it. So tomorrow, if I want to throw that bottle, along with, I don't have to peel that label off to make it separate because it's not a different plastic. I can easily recycle. Similarly, if you have an SDP bottles, then again the labels is made out of polyethylenes. So again, it goes into the same stream from recycling. So it is not getting separated. So you have to choose your plastic or the plastic packaging material as per the usage and the functionality. So it is not that I come up with the starch labels and I keep on, I try to then introduce a starch label onto and, non-recyclable or some other format. So that will not really work for us.
Yeah, see, I'm not a packaging expert, but as a business manager, I can tell you, from the consumer point of view, see, at the end of the day, we are sitting here and discussing. The eventual person who has to make a decision what packaging to buy is a consumer. And the word sustainability is so hot in our head, and probably the minds of regulators. But the same should be a burning issue among consumers as well, right? And in many of the Western countries, this education was done not just by manufacturers, because manufacturers, yes, definitely, there would be startup brands like Mad Over Donuts, whose entire proposition is built around sustainability. But till such time as large companies, large corporations start to make it their central theme of communication, things will not change, because the larger companies have bigger voices. And they will not make including us, right? There is no incentive to tomorrow to change all our packaging to make it 100% sustainable. It's going to cost a lot of money and consumer is not going to pay for it, right? So it's a joint effort. And in my opinion, one critical partner in this could be the retail. And we were just discussing this in the speaker's lounge before coming in here. And we are in a retail forum here. Now, in the US, this whole revolution was driven by Whole Foods. Because, people go into Whole Foods and people expected organic or people expected sustainable solutions there. Even in India, our retailers probably could dedicate one section of the retail space for sustainable solutions. Then people get more and more aware. They'll probably buy, they will be willing to pay 5%, 10% extra for sustainable solutions. Let's see. It has to start small, but we have to get started on this. Companies like us are very keen to get started on this.
I think our time is used up, at least that is what it says down there. I thank you very much. I would be happy to answer more questions. Actually, we can make a film out of starch, thermoplastic starch, which is not much different in the price than polyethylene. But after 2 weeks, you can see the fungi growing on it, which is probably then defeating the purpose. Yeah? But that's what we need to look into. So with that, thank you very much for your time, for your questions, for listening to us, and thank you to my fellow speakers on the dais. Thank you.